What's up guys, AJ here, and in this video I'm going to be talking about all my best seller prospecting tips. In my first year as a full-time real estate agent, I sold 36 houses, and these tips are what helped me get there. And no, you see the snow behind me? I'm not at the wall in Game of Thrones. For all you Game of Thrones fans out there, I'm at Jackson Hole on a snowboarding and skiing trip with my buddies and fellow real estate game changers, Lars and John. So without further ado, this is going to be a mix-up, a mixtape, whatever you want to call it, of all my best tips when it comes to expireds, for sale by owners, just listed, just sold prospecting, door knocking, you have it. We're going to talk about it, and if you're lucky, there might be a link in the description to get all of my scripts for free, so check that out too. In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to call new expired listings. This is listings that just hit the market. So the first thing I want to address is how expireds react when you initially call them. Just think about it. Imagine you were going about your day and you got a call randomly about your house that just failed to sell. You got to think of it like their house failed to sell. They had somewhere to go. So they're probably going to be a bit frustrated. The more frustrated they are, the more likely they had a lot of motivation to sell their house. So be sure when they start throwing up what I call that reflex no. You know, it's like you go to the mall or somewhere to buy a pair of jeans and the salesperson asks you, hey, is there anything that you're looking for? And you're like, no, just looking. But you know very well you just came in to look for some jeans, right? So we all have this reflex no. So as soon as you call them, they're gonna have this reflex no. And they're gonna say, I'm not interested in selling my house. I'm taking it off the market. The first thing they tell you is probably not the truth. They're probably just trying to get you off the phone. So I want you to remember that. And remember, when they're a little bit angry, a little bit upset, frustrated, be on their side. Don't challenge their thought process. A lot of repeating and affirming goes a long way. So if they say, you know what, we're just frustrated with the whole process, we're going to take it off the market. Part of the script is repeating and affirming. Hey, Mr. Seller, I completely understand that it's a frustrating process and that you just want to take it off the market. Totally get it. But just out of curiosity, if the home had sold, where were you moving to next? It's part of the script, and you're going to get my entire script book for expireds at the end of the video, so stay tuned. And know this too, the difference between new expireds and old expireds is new expireds are likely getting a lot of calls the first day. So that's going to add to their frustration. So expect them to get a lot of calls, and you want to start early. I'd start at 8 a.m. Your call blocks every day should be between 8 and 11. If you've currently been doing, say, 9 to 12, bump it up to 8. Because what I've found is between 8 and 9, your contact rate's higher, so you're talking to more people, you're catching them before they get to work. So this is a crucial part of prospecting, that 8 to 9 is like calling for 2 hours from 10 to 12. It's honestly that effective. I hope you're already using a dialer. I hope you already have a data provider because you've watched some of my previous videos. But if you haven't, those are some important things, and I'll link in the description to some tools that I use. So just know when calling expireds, you might get the wrong name. So for example, if their name comes up as Robert, but they go by Bill, and you say, hi, is Robert there? That's automatically going to raise a red flag that, hey, this is a telemarketing call. So how do you avoid that? So if I'm unsure of what they might go by, or maybe it's a female that picks up and it's a male name because you're talking to the wife versus the husband, or maybe it's a name you can't pronounce, or like I said, if it's a William and they go by Bill, or a Robert and they go by Bill, or whatever it might be, this is how you handle that. So you see the name, they pick up, you say, hey, I'm not sure if you can help me. I'm calling about a home that recently came off the market at 123 Main Street. By any chance, is that your property? So instead of saying their name like a normal telemarketer would, you're saying, I'm not sure if you can help me. Because most people want to help, right? So when you say, I'm not sure if you can help me, automatically, subconsciously, they're thinking, okay, this person needs help. How can I help them? So it's like a pattern interrupt, and you sound different from anyone else that might be calling them. So that's just a little pro tip right there. All right, what do we got next? Part of my workflow every day was calling the new expireds twice. So the first thing I would do is call the new expireds. Once I called them all, I would call them a second time. And this does a couple things. Well, they might have been busy the first time you called, right? Also, when you get that number that's calling you a couple times, you're like, who is this? Like, what do they need? So you answer that second time just because you're curious. Well, that's what it does. So say you have 20 new expires that hit the market. Maybe it's the first of the month, so you get more the first of the month, the 15th, and the 30th, because that's typically, when agents, put them to set to expire is on those even dates. So it's usually a little more heavy for new expireds those days. So, get excited and plan for that. By calling the new expireds twice back to back, I'm telling you, your contact rate is going to go up significantly. So let's talk about objection handlers. I found there's about 6 main ones. And the crazy thing is, as old as the real estate industry is, from the beginning of the real estate industry, there's been expireds, right? Well, the objections never really changed. They've kind of always been the same. So if the objections are the same and there's 6 main objections, don't you think it'd be a huge benefit for you to actually learn the 6 objection handlers? And it's not that hard, guys. We have an opportunity in real estate to make hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's a pretty good income, right? Don't get me wrong, that's excellent. And if you were an actor or an actress, you would spend hours and hours, days and days studying your scripts, right? Why as real estate agents do we not practice our scripts and memorize them? And there's just 6 and they don't change. These are in no particular order, but the first one I want to cover is I'm going to stay with the same agent. You're going to get that a lot. I'm going to stay with the same agent. A lot of times sellers don't think the reason their house didn't sell was because of their agent. And oftentimes it is. Now, of course, every time it's not because of the agent, but more often than not, it is. It could be a variety of things. It could be, the photography, it could be the marketing, it could be the price. And these are all things that the agent has to recognize and be able to get their clients to understand what needs to happen in order for it to sell. So 99% of the time, regardless of the reason it didn't sell, it's the agent's fault. They're the professional. They need to be consulting their client. And of course, the client might not always use their advice. I get that. We all get that as agents. But sometimes they just need a new approach, right? So that's an objection handler you're going to learn, and you're going to get these in that free download at the end. You're going to get, I'm taking it off the market. They just had enough. They're frustrated. They're gonna take it off the market. And then if you don't understand what's going on behind the scenes and you follow up with them a month later, they tell you they just relisted it 2 weeks ago. Because when they say they're just taking it off the market, it's a reflex no. Yeah, they're taking it off the market, but they're going to sell it again soon. So you need to be prepared how to handle this objection, how to keep the conversation going versus just getting off the phone. The third, I'm going to sell it myself. Hey, I can totally get that. If I was a seller and my agent just failed me, I might be giving up on all real estate agents. I might be thinking, hey, my real estate agent did nothing. I can sell it myself. So again, we need to know how to handle that objection so we can let them know that we're not like the other agent. We're different than all other agents. We get homes sold. We specialize in homes that didn't sell the first time they're on the market. So this is a great one. You'll get it a lot, so make sure that you know it and you master it. Number 4, I've already found another agent. Now this one does come up, and it's interesting because their house just came off the market, but a lot of times the client is looking for a new agent before the house expires. So this one can be a little delicate because if they already have a contract signed, well, then it's hands off, right? We need to be ethical as agents. We need to follow the NAR code of ethics. So if they already have a contract signed, it's hands off. But if they say they've just already found another agent, they might be saying, hey, I seen a sign down the street and it looks like that home sold pretty fast, so I'm going to call that agent when we're ready. They may have never even met with another agent, but they say they found one. So the first thing you need to ask is, awesome, just out of curiosity, have you already signed a contract? That's the first part of the objection handler, and then you go into the next part of it. I need to speak with my spouse first. Now that's kind of an easy one to get off the hook. You can just say, oh, well, I need to speak to my spouse first. That's a strategy. You got to remember that sellers have their own scripts, right? So that one's a super simple one to handle. It's kind of revolves around this idea of, hey, let's just get it penciled in. So there's a script that you follow, but the premise is let's just pencil it in. When you say let's just pencil it in, it doesn't seem as concrete. Then it gives them permission that, hey, it's not a hard appointment, and then they can confirm it with their spouse. 9 times out of 10, when you pencil it in, they're going to keep the appointment. This is a golden line that I want you to use. And last but not least, and this one typically comes with the most frustration, but it's, where were you when my house was on the market? Now this one can stump agents a lot of the time. They don't know what to say, and that's why it's so important that you have these objection handlers up while you're prospecting. And this one's really easy to handle also. But again, It's going to take some practice. You're going to need to get a role play partner. You're going to need to write the scripts out, chant them out loud to memorize them. And once you memorize them, they become part of you. You internalize them, and it's not robotic. Objection handlers are fantastic to use, but I want you to understand the difference between an objection and a condition. Oftentimes we get conditions and they're disguised as an objection, and agents can confuse the two of them, right? So a condition would be something like, hey, we're taking it off the market for the next couple months because we're in the middle of a kitchen renovation. We're taking it off the market right now because we just got a tenant in the property. Maybe it's a rental. Or, hey, we're taking it off the market right now because we just found out there's a lien on the home. Whatever the reason might be, think, is this a real reason why they cannot sell the house right now? If that's the case, simply go to close as a nurture. You just want to get them as a nurture to put in your nurture farm, and I'll give you the script for that in a second. If you're getting value from this video, give me a thumbs up. Any questions you have, throw them in the comments. And as always, subscribe to the channel, guys, because it really helps out with that YouTube algorithm, and we like for that to give us good vibes so more agents can get this content. So last but not least, remember that most phone calls do not end in an appointment set. So you got to have a clear plan, a clear goal on how you want the call to end, right? And you need a follow-up plan to convert the people who don't set an appointment on that first call into appointments. So I want you to think of this nurture concept, creating a nurture farm. So at the end of the call, when it's very clear you're not going to get the appointment, you can say something like, hey, real quick, Mr. Seller, if they're trying to rush you off the phone, hey, just real quick, one more thing. Or if it's kind of dragging on and you're ready to go, because some people will talk your ear off. So you can say, hey, real quick, I gotta run, but just out of curiosity, hey, when you're ready to get this home sold in the fall, when your kids get back to school, so you can repeat their motivation, so whatever it is, hey, real quick, when you're ready to get the home sold, are you open to interviewing me for the job of selling your house, or do you already have an agent in mind? You want to figure out if they're listing with an agent who they already have a personal relationship with. Maybe it's a family member, a neighbor. The reality is most people are not going to risk that relationship. They don't want to tick their neighbor off. They don't want to upset their family. So they're going to stick with that agent. If it's clear that they don't have a tight relationship with somebody already, then you want to follow up with them even if they say that they won't interview you. And the reason for that is they might just say that because they're frustrated. But as you follow up with them over time, maybe send them some postcards, handwritten note, it really warms them up to you and they will interview you. But more times than not, they'll agree to interviewing you. That's when it becomes a nurture, and then you get their email. So this is the whole script uninterrupted. Hey, Mr. Seller, thank you so much for your time today. I know you're busy and I got to run too, but just out of curiosity, when you're ready to sell your house in the fall, are you open to interviewing me for the job to get it sold, or do you already have an agent in mind? Awesome. Hey, well, what I'd like to do is send you some information. Would that be okay? Once they say yes to that, you go for the email because they think you're just going to send it to them. So they're always going to say yes, whereas most people will say no if you just come out and ask them for their email. That's a pro tip. So once they say yes, you say, okay, great. What's your best email? And that script will also be in the downloads, guys, so you can get that there. Again, if you like this, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I promised you a free script download. So I put together an expired mini course that's completely free. In the description, go ahead and click that link, and you'll see as soon as you register, as soon as you get logged in, there's going to be a PDF on the right-hand side of all the scripts. So go ahead and get in there, download them, learn them, master them, put them up on your wall, and go out there and crush some expireds today because your goals are too important not to do this, guys. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about where you get the leads, how much they cost. I mean, I've used pretty much every system out there, so I know which ones work, which ones you shouldn't use. So let's dive in. One of the most important things when it comes to calling expireds is efficiency. How many contacts can you make per hour? So I see a lot of newer agents, or really just agents newer to calling expireds. They want to start off by going to the MLS, finding the properties that expired, and looking up the phone numbers themselves. Guys, I tried this. It takes way too long. Let's just say, for example, there's 10 new expireds. It takes you an hour to find all that information, to find the names, to find the phone numbers, versus paying for a service. Now, I don't know about you, but as a real estate agent, you should have a goal to make at least $100 an hour. So if you're making $100 an hour, is it the best use of your time to be looking up the expireds yourself? The answer is no, because the data providers, the way you get the leads, they don't cost that much. So the best use of your time is getting like an expired service to get the data for you, so you're not wasting your precious time trying to find the data yourself. I can virtually guarantee you, if you're the one looking up the information every morning, you're not going to stick to it long term. Let's use that example of 10 expireds. So that morning, you wake up, you look for the data, you get 10 phone numbers for 10 expired listings. Well, some of those phone numbers are going to be bad, they're going to be out of service, it's going to be the wrong number. Whereas when you're using a data provider, you're going to get multiple numbers per listing, so you have a better chance of getting a hold of the actual property owner. It's really discouraging when you spend all that time looking up the information only to find that you can only get in touch with one of the 10 expireds that you just got the data on. And if you do this over and over and over, you're not going to get any results because you're not talking to enough people, and you're going to give up. When calling expired listings, or any prospecting for that matter, your goal should be contacting 8 to 10 people per hour. Now, a contact is a decision maker that owns the property. So for example, if you call and you maybe get their kids or maybe a housekeeper or something like that, that's not going to be a contact. It has to actually be an adult decision maker that answers the phone. Now, it could be a wrong number, but as long as you ask the person that picks up the phone that you got the wrong number for and say something like, "Hey, I'm so sorry I got the wrong number. Just out of curiosity, do you know anyone looking to buy or sell a home?" I would still count that as a contact. In order to hit this target of 8 to 10 contacts, you need two things: a great data provider and a dialer system. And you need to know going into this, to have the proper mindset, that a lot of the phone numbers you're going to be calling, regardless of the data provider you use, you're going to get a lot of bad numbers. I hear so many times agents complaining, all the data is bad, the data sucks. But they don't have the proper framework, the proper mindset going into it. They don't even understand the rules to the game. When you know the game you're playing, it's pretty simple. When you expect that you're going to get a lot of wrong numbers, well, then it's not a big deal, right? And that's why a dialer is so important, because you want to be able to go through the numbers fast, because if you are getting wrong numbers and you're talking to wrong numbers, it can get frustrating. You feel like you're not making progress. But with a dialer, when you're getting 8 to 10 good contacts per hour, you start to pick up a lot of momentum. I found even for a new agent, out of every 50 contacts you make, you should set an appointment. So if your goal is to make, say, 20 to 30 contacts per day, you should be setting an appointment every 2 days, minimum. I've always loved the idea of the gold rush, gold mining. I love the gold shows that are on TV. Think of it like this. You need to move a lot of dirt to find a little bit of gold. You need to go through a lot of numbers to set a few appointments. That's just the game, and now you know the game that you're playing. Let's dive in and get you started on the right foot with the right lead sources. Now, there's a lot of different companies out there. There's the Mojo Lead Store, there's RedX, there's Vulcan 7, there's Espresso Agent, and I'm sure there's countless others, but those would be the main big ones, also LandVoice. Vulcan 7 and RedX, I would say, are the two biggest players. Now, Vulcan 7 is going to be about twice the cost of RedX, and I would say Vulcan 7's data, from my experience, has been a little better. But at twice the cost, I think RedX offers the best value. Their system is super intuitive. They have a great dialer, the Storm Dialer. So my recommendation would be to use RedX. On Facebook the other day, I seen a comment in one of the Facebook groups, where all the real estate agents like to chat and mastermind and brainstorm and oftentimes complain. I saw one agent post that all the data is just awful from all these companies and that it's like all a scam. Well, do you really think that a company like Vulcan 7 or RedX, who have been big players in this space for like 10 plus years, are a scam? If they were, they'd be out of business. But those agents who are complaining just don't understand the rules of the game. So again, it doesn't matter what service you go with. However, I do recommend RedX or Vulcan 7. And if you're interested in RedX, I have an affiliate link in the description. You'll save $149 off the startup fee. It'll be completely waived, so you can find that in the description of this video. With all that being said, I hope that it gives you the confidence to persevere when it might feel like this is a grind. And I'm telling you, calling expireds at first will feel like a grind. But one thing that one of my mentors, Brennan Burchard, always says, you need to honor the struggle. And it's no different with this. And eventually, the more nurtures you're developing through your prospecting, you just start to really love what you're doing, because you know that the efforts you're putting in are actually getting your results. You start to connect the dots. At the beginning, it's just having faith. and you really need faith to be successful. If you go into this thinking, oh no, it's not going to work for me, well then it's probably not going to work for you. But if you go into it knowing that you have all the information you need, you have great mentors who have been where you want to go, then you can have faith knowing that if you put in the work, you'll succeed as well. One of my favorite things about a system like this is that you know that you have a great setup. You wake up, you go through your morning routine, you're ready to start working, you have a great role play session to warm up for your prospecting session, just like an athlete warms up before a game. Now it's 8 o'clock and you're ready to start calling. You log into your dialer system, all the contacts are ready to go for the day. All you need to do is dial in, hit start, and now the dialer starts going. I like to think of it like a roller coaster, and I love roller coasters. You get on, you strap in, and you're ready for the ride. And you're going up, and it's clicking, click, 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 and you get to the top, and you're waiting for that anticipation, and then it just drops, and you're just in for that ride, and you're really just like loving it, and you submit to the process because you know you're not getting out until the ride ends. And that's kind of like a dialer system. As soon as you hit start, it just keeps dialing number after number after number. So let's just say you don't have a good conversation with somebody and they hang up on you. Well, then it just goes to the next one, super fast like that. So I found that mentally, that helps me to keep going. And in this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to door knock expired listings. So first off, there's a few things that I want to touch on when it comes to door knocking, just some things to think about. The first one is door knocking's not going to be as efficient as calling, as using a dialer system. I mean, think about it. You gotta get ready, you gotta get dressed, you gotta get in your car, you gotta stop at the gas station, you gotta drive all the way across town to the neighborhood where the expired is. And by the time you get to the house, I mean, it might have taken you 20 to 30 minutes to even get there, get out of your car, get to the door, and then they're not home. Well, what do you do then? You can see why it might not be quite as efficient. And like I mentioned, make sure you stay to the end because I'm going to share with you some tips on how to make it more efficient. Just remember, you're going to make less contacts when door knocking than you would calling. So number 2, rejection. If you're just getting into prospecting the first time or if you've been doing it a while, you know rejection is a real thing, right? You know that fear of rejection may stop you from taking action. Well, hey guys, I don't want that to be you. So there are some things that you can do to overcome rejection, like creating a strong mindset, by reading great books, listening to podcasts, watching YouTube videos, having a big why, different things that I coach on. But just know when you're door knocking, rejection is going to sting a little bit more regardless. You're face to face with the person as opposed to being on the phone. Of course, anytime that you get rejected face to face, it's gonna hurt a little bit more. But just know that once you build the strong mindset, once you develop a thick skin for rejection, once you have this why inside your mind of why you're doing this, then that rejection will eventually just really completely go away. It's like building a muscle. The more you build the muscle of being able to handle rejection, the more rejection you can take. Does that make sense? So by now you're probably thinking, well, this whole idea of door knocking for expireds isn't sounding that great. You're telling me it's less efficient, and you're telling me that I'm going to face more rejection potentially, or at least rejection that stings more. Yeah, those things are true, and it's my personal opinion you should be calling over door knocking when it comes to expireds especially. But if you want to door knock, I have some great news for you. Hardly anyone else is doing it because of the first 2 reasons that I just gave you. They're afraid of the rejection. They don't want to go through all the extra effort that it takes to actually drive to the house, walk up to the door. I mean, what if it's raining out? What if it could rain? What if it's too cold? What if it's too hot? There's so many excuses people will make of why they won't door knock. So your competition at the door will be next to nothing. Honestly, I'd be surprised if the house that you're knocking on that just became an expired that morning, I would be surprised if there was one other agent that knocked on that door that day. Now, of course, it's going to be market dependent. Maybe there's some little spots around the US where it's kind of just like a lot of competition for expireds and there's a lot of people door knocking, but that is extremely rare. That would not be the normal. So let's talk about some benefits to door knocking. Of course, a benefit is going to be your face-to-face. You can do a better job presenting yourself and your services. And on the flip side of that rejection piece, people will typically be nicer when you're face-to-face with them because at the same time, it's harder to be rude when you're face-to-face with a person. So you'll probably face even less rejection, and the rejection won't be as extreme as it would be on the phone, but you will feel it a little more because you are face to face. But from what I've seen, typically speaking, people are a little bit more friendly when door knocking. I've done my fair share of door knocking. I've knocked on thousands of doors, and I just gotta tell you, I personally just like calling. I think it's more efficient. If it's raining, I can still do it. I have like this controlled environment. I have my prospecting bunker established. So I've always liked calling. But if you like door knocking better, awesome. You can create massive success door knocking. That's why I wanted to create this video, so I could help you. Because I know there's people out there who want to door knock, right? You've made the decision to start door knocking. Well, there's a few things, a few basic fundamentals that you need to know in order to get started and to be successful at this. The first thing is dress professionally. Of course, it might be super hot out. You might be walking for a long time. So you need to dress accordingly, but you can still dress professionally. Even if it's summer, I would still recommend wearing some slacks, some dress pants, and maybe a polo if it's super hot out. But if you can, still a nice button-down long sleeve shirt for the guys is what I'd recommend. Maybe a tie. I would not be showing up in shorts, guys. And girls, definitely if you want to wear dress slacks, perfect. If you want to wear a skirt, a dress, that's totally acceptable. The biggest thing that I would consider is footwear. Wear something that's comfortable. Even if it's tennis shoes, wear those, because one of the strategies I'm going to teach you later is going to involve some walking so you can be more efficient. So you're going to want some great, comfortable shoes on. And of course, if you're wearing running shoes with dress clothes, style points are gonna go way down, but that's okay, guys. We're here to make money, not to make a fashion statement. The second basic fundamental, and I got 6 of these guys, so stick with me, is to walk with a purpose, walk fast. When you get to the neighborhood, get out of the car, walk to the door fast. Anytime you're in a neighborhood, just cold calling in general, walk from house to house fast. Don't walk across the grass, don't cut across yards, but definitely walk fast, walk with a purpose. If there are neighbors watching you, they're gonna kind of see if you're kind of lollygagging around on the phone, texting as you're walking. So walk with a purpose, because people are always watching. And if a neighbor is watching you from across the street, and then, say you're doing something crazy like walking across someone's yard, you get to their house, they're gonna be thinking in their head, I would never use this agent because they're trampling people's yards. They don't really care about other people's houses. They don't care about other people's personal belongings and things like that. So always have good etiquette when walking through neighborhoods. Don't be littering, don't be spitting, I know, crazy stuff. Don't be throwing your empty water bottle on the ground. Just treat it as if it was your own yard, because people are watching. And you wanna walk fast because you wanna get more houses in less time. The more houses you can hit, the more contacts you can make. Number 3, if the doorbell doesn't work, knock super loud. You don't wanna get too crazy, you don't wanna pound for a long time, but just 3 or 4 good loud knocks is what you need. If you knock too light, then you're standing at the door wondering if they heard you, and then you're going to knock again a minute later, and then if they did hear you the first time, now they might be a little frustrated because you are repeatedly knocking on the door. So just a few solid knocks, and if no one comes, go to the next door. Don't wait forever. I kind of try to listen a little bit to see if people are walking to the door or not, because it could take them time to get from upstairs to downstairs. So maybe wait 30 seconds or so, but don't wait too long, because the longer you wait at the house, the longer it takes you to get to the next one, the less contacts you make. All right, number 4. So when you actually get to the house and you're knocking on the door, they open the door. That was a mail truck coming up my driveway. All right, so when you get to the house, you're at the door, you knock. When they open it, smile real big, have good energy, stand up straight, and slightly face your shoulders up the street. That way you're kind of more open, you're less intimidating, like you're not trying to enter the house. So you're facing up street, you're smiling, you're relaxed, but great posture, you're dressed professionally, and you're energetic. And you can be energetic in your body language, with your smile, with your eyes. Your eyes can smile. I want you to think about that. If you see people who are smiling, but it's not in their eyes, it comes across fake. And just little things like having your hands open and not closed. All these things are on a subconscious level. Way back in the day when we were cavemen, if our hands were closed, you couldn't see what was in your hands. It could have been a weapon, could have been a rock, fists. Whereas if your hands are open, it's more inviting. That's why you shake hands, to show that you're friendly, you're inviting, you're not hiding anything. When you're squared up with somebody, that's like squaring off, like you want to confront them. Whereas if you're open and you face up the street, they see you as less intimidating. So just little things like this that they're going to be thinking about on a subconscious level. They won't really recognize it. They will recognize your smile and your energy, but the other little subtle things are just more on a subconscious level, and they do help. And make sure you're taking a step back. You don't want to be all up on them as they're opening the door. So that takes me to the next one, number 5. Be energetic. Be enthusiastic. Smile. Talk with your hands. Hey, how's it going today? Beautiful day. You know, the more happy you are, the more excited you are, the better off the conversation is going to go. Think about it. Some people are working from home. Some people might be dealing with some kids who are a little bit frustrating at the moment. Some people might just be bored out of their mind. And when you can come in and add some energy to their day, add a smile, add some light to their otherwise gray and dull day, that's going to be a welcome encounter. So remember to bring the energy, raise the energy. If you got to pump yourself up on the way there, listen to some great music, get in a great state, do it, because your energy matters. And number 6, bring an expired listing emergency packet with you. What is that? Well, it's a packet that you put together, and it's gonna have essential information about what you do to get so many homes sold. It's gonna have your resume, it's gonna have like a pre-listing package. You can leave that with them. This is crucial. You wanna leave with them a great first impression. That's the emergency expired listing packet. So make sure you have some of those made up and bring those with you. All right, I'm getting a little tired of sitting down. So remember, with expired listings, there's old ones and there's new ones, right? If you watch the other videos in this 10-part series, I'll put a button up over here or something will flash on the screen. Click that, you can see all the other videos. But remember, there's old and new, right? Got my rafts over there for my pool. So remember, there's old and new, so you need to approach them in a different way. So they open up the door, you step back, you do everything I just taught you, and you say, hello, my name is AJ, and I'm just stopping by today because I noticed that your home came off the market. So I got over here as soon as I could to see how I can help. Do you still want to sell this home? Depending on what they say, if they say, yeah, we do still want to get it sold, you can say, okay, great, I'd like to apply for the job. Does now work, or would later this afternoon be better? So you need to be prepared, ready to list the house on the spot. So bring listing paperwork. You don't need to have all the comps ready and all that kind of stuff. Don't waste time. Just go in there, talk to them, have a conversation, get motivation, go over what you'll do to get the home sold, your listing plan of action, and then you can sign the listing agreement. You can put a price if you have a general feel of what that home will sell for, or you can just get the listing agreement and say, hey, I'm gonna go back to my office, do all the comps, and let me come back out this afternoon or tomorrow and we'll go over price. How does that sound? But you get everything signed right there. This shows such initiative that they're gonna be so impressed. You came to their house as soon as it expired, you're ready to list it right now. They want an agent who's going to take action and get the home sold. If they wanna sell it in the future, then just get motivation. Just go over the expired script. Okay, great, no problem. So you don't wanna sell right now? Well, if this home had sold, where were you moving to? So just go down the expired script, get motivation, then go into the nurture script, which is, if you haven't watched the previous videos, hey, great talking to you today. I gotta run, but just out of curiosity, when you do go to get this home sold, do you have an agent that you're already committed to? Or would you open to interviewing me for the job of selling your home? And then they go into your nurture farm and it's a follow-up sequence. Now, if it's an old expired, and this is a great strategy because you can actually group these together, because you can go back in the MLS, say 6 months, pick a neighborhood and look at all the expireds. So you can group them so it's very, very efficient. That's a pro tip. Do not neglect the old expireds. So you show up, knock on the door, take a step back, do what I taught you. So I'd say, hello, my name is AJ Maida. I'm a local real estate agent. I was just stopping by today because I noticed your home came off the market a few months ago and just wanted to see if you were still interested in getting that home sold. If they say yes, you say, okay, great. I'd like to apply for the job of selling your home. See how the two scripts are very similar with a slight difference, that opening? If they're not yet ready to sell it, get motivation, use the old expired script, and then bring in the nurture script, add them to your nurture farm, and now you're building your pipeline. Remember, most appointments come from follow-up, not from the initial contact. All right, now I promised you how to make this more efficient so you're not just driving from one house to one house all over town like crazy and only stopping by 5 houses, only to have 2 of them actually home. You'll waste a lot of time and you will not see success. So what you do, and this is my pro tip for you today, is as soon as you are done with the expired listing, you're going to knock on the 5 houses over here, the 5 houses over there on each side of the house, and then the 10 across the street. That way you knock on 20 doors, or 21 doors, including the expired, for each house that you're stopping by. And if you stop by, say, 5 expireds that day, that's 105 doors, including the expireds, that you knocked on. That's a great way to move the ball forward. You'll get some great contacts, you'll build some great new relationships, you'll drop off some information. So this is a great strategy. Well, what do you say when you go to the other houses? You just say something very simple. You introduce yourself and you see if they need to sell. So something like this. Hello, my name is AJ Maida. I was just meeting with a potential client down the street and I wanted to stop by and introduce myself. Here's my card. You can have a card, a little package put together, a postcard, a newsletter, a flyer, a door hanger. Doesn't matter. Something with some information on it, right? You want to give something to them as you're introducing yourself. Then you just say, out of curiosity, do you have any plans to move, say, in the next 12 months or so? They'll probably say no. And if they say no, you say, okay, great. Hey, totally appreciate that. Well, I got to run, but just out of curiosity, this is the nurture script. When you do sell your house, whether it's a year from now or 5 years, 10 years from now, do you have an agent that you're obligated to? Or you could say this, or would you be open to giving me the opportunity to earn your business when the time's right? Then it becomes part of your nurture farm. This is your pipeline that you're building, guys. Imagine having 1,000 people in your pipeline, and you can do this in less than a year, that have said, yes, we will interview you when we're looking to sell our house. You will crush it. That's how I became a top agent in my market. And in this video, I'm going to be teaching how to call old expired listings. So first I want to talk about why calling old expired listings are such a great strategy. Number one, there's little to no competition. Think about it. The new expireds that are coming out every single day, they're getting 10, 15, 20 agents plus calling them first thing when it hits the market as an expired listing, right? Well, the old expireds, all the agents forgot about them. So when you're calling expireds that expired a month, 2 months, 3 months, even a year or more back, nobody else is calling them. So when you call them, it's a very easy conversation. They're not frustrated, they're not upset because they're not getting millions of calls. So you're able to have a great conversation about whether or not they still want to sell the home. Another reason why they're awesome is on that initial call, it's not a hard sell. You're not trying hard to close for the appointment because you know somebody else is going to get it if you don't. It's more of like a conversation. Hey, how can I help? What's your motivation? Where are you at with wanting to sell the property? When might you want to sell the property? And you start to build your nurture farm, as I call it. You're just trying to identify sellers who are looking to purchase in the future, who agree on that call to interview you when the time comes for them to sell their home. So for the most part, the script when calling old expireds is very similar to the one when calling new expireds. The only thing that I really change is the intro, the opening line. And I want you to think about when you're calling old expireds that they may not have really any idea of what you're talking about when you call them, especially if they're a few years old. They might be thinking you're calling about a different house. They might not know. So on that initial call, make sure you're just coming from curiosity with a lighthearted attitude. Be looking to help them. All right, so here's the opening line. Hi, I'm not sure if you can help me. My name is AJ Maida. I'm a local real estate agent, and I was just calling to see if that house that you had for sale a while back was still available or if it actually sold. So right off the bat, one of the things that you might have noticed is that I don't address them by name. I like to start a lot of my scripts with, hi, I'm not sure if you can help me, because most people generally like to help, right? And oftentimes when you're calling expireds, old expireds, you're not getting the correct phone number, or maybe you're getting the phone number of a relative, and when you ask by name, a lot of times it's a little awkward. So if you just go with, hey, I'm not sure if you can help me, it's more of coming from curiosity, opens up a conversation, and I've just found that they're more receptive to give you the information that you're looking for, maybe the correct number for the property owner, and especially with old expireds, sometimes the house has already sold, so you're getting the new owner. So it's just a great opening line that's really creating curiosity. Another thing that I want you to do in that opening line is kind of just say, hey, I'm not sure if you can help me, but I was calling on the house that you sold a while back. So you kind of like make it a lighthearted feel, like, hey, I'm just calling on the house you had for sale a while back. I'm not sure if it's still available or if it actually sold. So you're just approaching the call with good energy, a lighthearted feel, and just creating some curiosity about wanting to get that home sold. So there's 4 responses that you're going to get when making these types of calls. So the first response you're going to get is, hey, you have the wrong number. Typically, this is going to happen because the house already sold. You don't want to take up a bunch of time seeing if the house already sold. It's faster just to make the call. So when you do get the wrong number, you can just follow it up with something very simple. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Just out of curiosity, do you live in X area? If they do, this could be a potential client, right? So you just simply ask, hey, well, just out of curiosity, while I got you on the phone, when do you plan on buying or selling your next house? Just something like that, very simple. The second response that you're going to get is, hey, we're not selling anymore. Well, the reality is that they're going to sell at some point in the future, right? So you just want to continue to get motivation, see where their head's at with wanting to sell the property, and all you're going to do during this process is continue to go down the expired script. And if you guys want a free copy of my expired prospecting script book, I'll have a link in the description for a free mini course with that download included. Now the response that you're going to get is, yeah, we are actually going to sell that property next year. We're going to sell it in 6 months. We're going to sell it in 2 years. Whatever the response is, you want to go to your nurture script. You want to add them to your nurture farm. You want to get the exact timeline, and you want to be sure that they'll interview you when the time is right. So you say something very simple, hey, awesome, you're gonna sell in 2 years. So once you get the general time frame of when they wanna sell, you just say something very simple. This is what I call the nurture script. Just out of curiosity, do you have an agent that you're going to be using when you list the property, or would you be open to interviewing me? You just wanna get confirmation that they're not obligated to another agent and that they will in fact interview you. And then you just put them in the lead follow-up sequence, which will be the next video of this series. And the fourth response is that they do need to sell now. And this is going to be more rare because you're calling old expireds. You're just kind of catching them out of the blue. But I can guarantee you when you make enough calls, when you're being consistent with your prospecting, there will be times when you just call the prospect and they're like, yeah, you know what? We were actually just talking about it. We want to get the property on the market next week. And they won't have an agent. And you book the appointment and you go list it. It's that simple, guys. Those are the 4 main responses. So if you're newer to calling expireds, or newer to the seller prospecting idea, start with the old expireds. It's a simple call. If you haven't been prospecting for a while and you jump right into the new expireds, you're going to get a lot of rejection. You're going to be dealing with a lot of frustrated sellers, and you're going to be going up against other agents who are calling them who have been doing it for years and are very skilled at it. Now, I'm not saying that you should avoid it completely. I'm not saying that you should be fearful of doing it. However, if you start there, you may lose motivation because you're getting a lot of rejection without much results. So I would spend just the first 30 days of your prospecting journey to call in old expireds. You're going to get really good with the scripts. And while you're going through this process, make sure you get some role play partners. Make sure you're practicing scripts outside of making the calls. And if you do that in those first 30 days, you're going to build your confidence. You're going to take some listings. And by the time you get to the new expireds after the 30 days, you have the confidence, you increased your skill set, and now you can compete with the other agents who are calling the new expireds. The most important thing that you can remember when prospecting is the fortune is in the follow-up. And in the next video, I'm going to be doing it all on follow-up. So this is part of a 10-part series, and this is episode 6. So right here popping up on the screen, click that if you want to see the entire playlist of all the expired prospecting training series that I'm doing. All right, I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, give me a thumbs up, a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to partner with us at Game Changers, there's going to be a link in the description. You can check out, see what that looks like. Hey, between the 3 of us, we've sold thousands and thousands of homes with over 25 or something crazy years in real estate. So we'd be happy for you to partner with us and see how we can help you grow your real estate career. Thanks for watching the video. If you find this helpful, this type of content, let me know in the comments. And if you think someone in your office or a friend could benefit from this information, then check out the slopes behind me and share the video with them. All right, we'll see you guys.